The holidays are a time where things can often get busy and distracting. For some, this could be a time where you think about getting the perfect gift or outdoing your neighbor's Christmas decorations. For some, this is a time of loss or grief. What would it look like if we refocused on what the season is really about? For to us, a child is born. To us, a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Behold the hope of Emmanuel.
Merry Christmas. Get some of that clap on too. I love it. Man, this is such an amazing time of year. So I know it's said, but it just really can't be said enough. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Grace. Absolutely love you guys. You look so good. That's another part about Christmas Eve. You know, everyone just says, man, we should dress up today. Why not? It's a special occasion. So I don't know about you, but I love this time of year. Like it starts like right after, Thanksgiving, and you just kind of make your way into December with this anticipation, with this surprise, this what could be sort of a motivation. You know, you have some spontaneous moments, you have some anticipation of gifts, maybe of new people that you meet, of family that you may sit down with. But it's also mixed, not just with that anticipation and that joy, but it's also coupled with some tradition, just steeped in faithfulness. Things that you're going to be surprised about, but also things that you're just going to be rooted in faithful, do this every single year. And maybe you cut down a tree. Maybe that's your tradition. Maybe you eat together as a family. Maybe you open gifts Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Whatever it is, we all have these anticipations of the new, but also the traditions of the past. And there couldn't be a greater combination between the two whenever the Jews were thinking the same thing. There is some things that came around the winter, around December, that they were just used to seeing. But this one was different. This one was different. A child being born, the Messiah, God coming down actually to earth right before us, that he's here. And so I love this time of year for so many reasons, and I know that there's so many connections, there's so many memories of the past, and also in hopes that they will be made today. But I also love a question that seems to be stirring up way back from childhood whenever it comes to Christmas. And it's this question right here. It's how much did you get? How much did you get? Like it's just a pregnant question, like ready to burst with answer. I mean, some of us are thinking, okay, it's consumer-driven mentality, so how much did I get is kind of a greed type question. But that's not at all what this is, because this is more of an adult-style question. I know it happens to be in our childhood, how much did you get? Upon the arrival after Christmas, and everything slows down. After you rip open the presents, after you eat, after you have Christmas, and just the pace starts to stop a little bit, and you head back to school, and then all your friends finally come back, and they ask you, come on, let me see your list. How much did you get? But it's not just that, it's the anticipation as adults still. That question lingers with us. Because it's not just one about greed, it's about need. And it's a gospel-centered question. It's a Jesus-filled question. It's one that just lavishes heaven-like imagination. I mean, this question has all about God and his size questions in it. How much did you get? Because, here it is, Luke chapter 2. I'm going to read this because it's a tradition around here. When we come around Christmas, we look at the Luke 2 story because this is the birth of Jesus. And in verse 10, it says this, the angel said to them, do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy. Come on, just slow down. Good news. Anybody need some good news? Anybody have some bad situations around them and they just need some good news in them? Come on, somebody. Anybody see the news around? Anybody see the situations in which are just heavily around in your city, in your society, and just need some good news to be reported on? Behold, don't be afraid. There's good news. And that good news brings great joy. And that's not just for a select group of people. It's for all people, he said. It's for all people. I don't care where you come from or where you're going. It doesn't matter your skin color or your economic status. It doesn't matter where you live or where you hope to live. It doesn't matter about anything. If you are human, this is for all people. That's the good news. And that should all bring us great joy. I don't know if you feel deserving of that great news. And a lot of times we don't, but it's for you. And perhaps it's for you more if you don't feel deserving. Good news of great joy. And verse 11 says, here's the news. Today in the city of David, a Savior is born, and he is, if you don't miss it, he is Christ the Lord. He is your Messiah. He is the one that you've been waiting for. He is God coming down to be with us right here, right now. See, this is an amazing thing because this baby boy actually grew up to be Jesus, the Messiah, the everything that we could ever imagine. The Creator God actually came down and didn't just create heaven, but he brought heaven with him. Come on, somebody. God, the one who is filled with grace, also came down and gave grace. The King of Kings came down and brought his kingdom. It wasn't just him alone that came down. It was everything that he represented. That's the good news. The good news that fills us with great joy has to be dependent on our circumstances. God, you are unconditional beyond anything that I can imagine. And the God who is love brought down his love. The God who is grace brought down his grace because he gives us access to it every single day. That's why 2,000 years ago, good news was given to us with great joy. And all we have to do is just behold it. So how much did you get? How much did you get? Every single day. How much did you get? This word behold is like a strong look at you just being stunned, awed, in wonder. Take a look around. Do you not see the glory of God? He's all around you. His presence is everywhere. God is here with you. He's never going to forsake you. He's never going to leave you. His stars and the sky and the cosmos declare his handiwork. So how much did you get? It's all a question about need. Maybe you show up every once in a while and you open up your time to say, I'm gonna go to church. I'm gonna open up the Word. But God has given you everything whenever he stuck right here on the earth, being born of a virgin. It was absolutely amazing because God did the impossible. Behold, church, behold. Good news. It's great joy. It's for all people, and it's right here. It's right now. It reminds me of a time back in the day. I was probably like in 5th or 6th grade. So I was about here. Knee high to a grasshopper, is that what they say? 5th or 6th grade. So I was a wee lad, and I would like to think that I would probably weigh a little bit more, but that's up for discussion. And so 5th or 6th grade, I was pretty small, and I'm about to tell you a story that's sort of fun, but it's also a confession. It was the first and the last time I stole. That's right. I got caught stealing, and it was the first and the last time that I got caught stealing. And so the story goes like this. I remember going into my brother's room, and he was older than me, so I don't know. Any younger siblings in the house? Any younger siblings? Did you always live up to the shadow of your older brother and older sister? I mean, that's just inevitable. It was going to happen. But anyway, he was bigger than me, like taller and size-wise. So he dominated our conversation all the time because I let him. That's mostly why. But I went into his room one time, and I remember seeing 100 grands everywhere. I mean, you can imagine. This is crazy. Like what's going on? Like he's a kid, 5th and 6th grade, 100 grands everywhere. Piles of them coming out of bags. Some of them slipping underneath the bed. And you're like, oh, you've been holding out on me. Now, I know what you're thinking, 100 grand, you're like $1,000 bills. That's not what I said. It's actually the candy bar, 100 grand. See, I got you. You just need to pay attention to the story. It was candy all over the place in my brother's room. They had stashed away in particular places, and I discovered it. And I said, listen, it's not even Halloween. Where'd you get all this stuff? And My brother says, listen, I have an unlimited supply, and I know where you can get some. And I was like, do tell. This is the secret of a lifetime, and I won't share it with anybody. And so he said, okay, you have to take it. You have to take it. It's at the local gas station, Circle K, just down the street. And we were in Arizona. So don't worry, I've already confessed my sin. I'm past it, and I hope you are too. And so we connived this. No, my brother connived this plan to say, okay, we're going to go down because I've been doing it for a long, long time. You can see the evidence, and I'm going to teach you how to steal. He goes, this is what you need to know. And I was like, okay, cool. He goes, 2 rules. Rule number 1, don't get caught. So that's good. That is a good rule. And he said, rule number 2, get big pockets. And I said, that's a good idea. Why? Why big pockets? He goes, because you want to put a lot in there, and you want to have them so deep that it doesn't look like it's bulging, because that looks conspicuous. You know what I'm saying? You look a little bit guilty when you walk around with bulging pants. So I said, okay, cool. So I went and go get my big, baggiest pants that I could, came back. So we followed all the way down. It was he and some friends, all the way down to the gas station, just trekking along, walking. The anticipation was killing me, kind of like Christmas. You're going to go into a candy store, and it's all yours. That's the only evidence that I knew. That's the only message. And so whenever you get there, it was an amazing thing, because I'm thinking, okay, I repeat to myself, rule number 1, don't get caught, big pockets. Don't get caught, big pockets. Just step by step, I was repeating the rules. Don't get caught, big pockets. It was a mentality. You had to envision what you were about to do. So we go into it, and there it was. Listen, I can't tell you in the English language how amazing it really was. 5th or 6th grade, I was like, it was an aisle. I've been there before, but not like this. It was an aisle of candy, and it was taller than me. It was wider. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. It was wider than me, and it was bubble gum. It was chocolate candy. It was everywhere. It was right in front of me. It was about a half a foot away from being mine. And I thought this was absolutely brilliant. Why didn't we think about this before? And so then I thought, don't get caught. That was the first rule. So I said, okay, I'm not going to get caught. And so then all of a sudden, the attendant went back to the back office. And I'm like, hey, they don't have cameras. That's a great sign. She's not here, So then it happened. I just started ripping candy bars out, stuffing in my pocket. Boom, boom, one right after another, getting some Bubble Yum, getting Nutrageous, get some Reese's. Come on, what other candy bar would you have taken? Don't confess that right now. So anyway, I was just taking, just sticking them in the pockets, and then I went all the way back around to the other side where Street Fighter was. That's where my brother was playing Street Fighter. Come on, Street Fighter. Anybody? No, anybody. So they were our arcade there. I was waiting for them to be done. He said, hey, when we're gonna finish our game, then we're gonna leave. So I was like, yeah, great plan. So I'm the follower. So I'm last. So they start walking out. They go out the front door. And then all of a sudden, she said, hey, come here. And I said, who? As I looked over to the lady, the attendant who had now come back out of the office and was right in front of me, I looked back over to my faithful and loyal and very wise brother, and they had ran. So I went back to her, and I had 2 options. You run or you follow directions. So you know what I did. I stayed. I said, okay, cool, let's stay. And she said, go ahead and empty your pockets. I said, what pockets? And then she asked me a second time, okay, boom. It was like Halloween all over again. Just the table was filled. And I was pretty proud of myself. She said, let's call your parents. Anything but my dad. My mom, get a hold of her. Not my dad, please, Anyway, my dad come and pick me up. It was a 3-minute car ride, and it was the longest, quietest 3-minute car ride ever. It was the last and the first time that I stole. And I think about that story just around this particular time because you can't help but think, here it is, Luke chapter 2. It's right in front of you, like a gas station candy store. Behold, your king has come. But it's not just a king, it's his kingdom. It's not just his gifts, it's the giver. Oh my goodness. But don't steal it because it's already been purchased. Come on, somebody. It's already been paid for. If you don't believe me, check out Isaiah 55. This is amazing. He says, come, everyone who thirsts. Listen, don't just be restricted to the candy aisle. I want you to go to refreshments too. Go get yourself a drink. Go get yourself a cold one. You want some tea? You want a soda? You want water? You want Gatorade? Anything in the gas station is yours. Come, all you who are thirsty. Come to the waters. He who has no money, come buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money, without money. You who are broke, that's the point. Come on, you catching this? This is an amazing, amazing picture of the kingdom of God right here before you. It's like a buffet, but it's not the gas station, the candy aisle. This is like a king with royalty in a castle, and you're invited. He says, listen, I hope that you're going to come hungry, because what you're going to see before your eyes is going to be absolutely insane. But don't miss it, because it's in the message of a baby being born thousands of years ago. And you might think it's insignificant, but this is the most significant part of your entire life. Why do you spend money for that which is not bread, or labor for that which does not satisfy? Listen diligently. That's the invitation. Gotta listen. Hear God's voice in this. It's a beckoning. It's a bringing. It's a behold. I bring you great news. That's going to bring you joy. And it's for all people. Listen diligently to me. Eat what is good. Delight yourself in rich food. Rich food, not cheap food, but ones that come in packages. Rich food that actually nourish something deeper than your body. Rich food. Come on, you catching this? Rich food for your soul. Rich food that lasts forever. Incline your ear, come to me, hear, and listen to this. I want you to catch this right here. Hear so that your soul may live. Hear this, so your soul may live. Hear so that your soul may live. So that your heart can be abound, so that your soul can have good news, so that you can actually have good joy, great news that comes to you of all people. You can eat before the buffet. It's all yours. God has given you access to every single part of it. Don't you recognize that this is life? This is life abundantly. This is freedom. This is the promise of God. That is the buffet that God enters you into. He says, come, don't just restrict yourself to the candy and the dessert. I've got an immaculate display, so much so, of food and drink that I want to give to you. It's purchased. It's free. And it's yours. So here's my question. How much did you get? How much did you get? Because it's not about greed, it's about need. See, you can't have God's life until you realize you're dead. You can't have his freedom until you realize how wrapped up in sin you really are. You can't have his fullness until you give him everything you have. Because that's exactly what God's interested in, not part way, because he didn't deliver part to you. He delivered everything to you and more, and an excess, and a buffet, and his son, and his love, and his grace, and his mercy. How much did you get, church? It's a buffet. Go eat and then come back and you stuff yourself so that you can be filled with Jesus. That's exactly the invitation that comes. And you got to know that this isn't a new one. This has been here for old times. Acts 14 says it this way. He says, the goodness of God has been around us for quite some time. You need to realize that in the past generations, God has allowed all nations to walk in their own way. Yet he didn't leave himself without witness. For he did good by bringing you rains from heaven, fruitful seasons, satisfying your hearts with good food, gladness, small things that you probably would have missed. Filling your table, filling your food, giving you what you need every single day because he is a great provider. But if you don't capture it, if you don't recognize your need, you're not going to take all that he offers. He's been here. He's been displaying himself from generation to generation, and he has been a witness. All around you is his creation. All around you is his goodness. His message and his voice of come to me, all you who are weary. Come eat. Come you who are thirsty. Come and eat. Don't even buy because it's all free and purchased. It's yours. How much did you get? That's been consistent. His goodness has been consistent. But again, I tell you, it's not because of greed, but because it's need. It's dependent on your need. 2 Corinthians says this. Paul actually has a conversation with God about his weakness, and he says, God displays to you and to me and to us. You want to know what you have access to? I'll tell you, my grace God's grace to you, God's infinite, abundant mercy and grace and love is totally sufficient for you. For my power, God said, is made perfect in your weakness. Therefore, Paul says, if that's true, I'm going to boast all the more gladly in my weakness so that the power of Christ may rest on me. God, I want you to display how much I need you so that I can have access to all that you've granted me. See, Jesus came down because he became one of us so that we can become what he called us. Come on, you catching this? God came down so he could become one of us, so that he can communicate, so he can display, so he can be a substitute, so he can take the wrath of God, so he can take our place on the cross, so he can live our life, so he can speak that life, so he can display the grace and the love and the joy of God, so that we have a perfect picture of who God really is. But it's not until we come full-blown experience of the need that he is, until we realize how much he has given us, so that we can answer the question, oh God, this is an amazing thing. How much did you get? How much do you get every day? God's goodness is all around you. He has not left you without witness. How much did you get today? How much did you get tomorrow? God has given you his word filled with promises. And he says all of them are yours, and they're already confirmed in Jesus as a yes. Check. All yours. How much did you get? You who are fickle and satisfying ourselves in the candy aisle with worldly pleasures, unwrapping Reese's peanut butter cups whenever you could have a meal with kings. And it's right before you. It's in the wisdom of a church. It's found in his word. It's in his presence. He's everywhere. All we have to do is say, God, I need you. And I need to come in terms with the question, how much did I get? But let me ask you the question. This isn't for your spouse. It's not for your neighbor. It's not for your friend. How much did you get? Because this has to be personal. It's not about anybody else but you. How much did you get? The emphasis has to be on you personally, because God isn't in the idea of mass numbers. He's into a personal relationship. Just because your neighbor, your spouse, or your friend, or your student, or your acquaintance, or your son or your daughter has a relationship doesn't mean that you do. So how much did you get? You have the access just like anybody else if you put your faith in Jesus. Recognize, God, you sent your son down thousands of years ago, born of a virgin, so that he can grow up and give the king access to all of his kingdom and everything else that comes with it. So how much did you get? I don't care what your sibling got for Christmas. I want to know, what did you get? What did you get? What did you get? See, the day that I came home after my 3-minute truck ride with my dad after I stole, I realized that I came up empty-handed. I didn't get to enjoy any of the candy that I had right before me. And I had a massive load of guilt on me for what I had done. See, God doesn't want you to come into the church like that. He doesn't want you to open up the Bible like that. He doesn't want you to open up into prayer like that. He never wants you to leave with guilt. So if you came in with guilt, if you leave with guilt, that's not of God. Because God wipes the slate clean. He says everything is clean, yesterday, today, and forevermore. When you put your faith in my son Jesus, this is the cleansing of your soul. This is the filling. You want to give me your heart, I'm going to give you mine. Complete transaction. And I'm going to demonstrate my great, fantastic, powerful, unconditional, beautiful love by sending my son so that you could ask the question, how much did you get? How much did you get when you spent time with him? How much did you get whenever you prayed? How much did you get whenever you came to church? How much did you get whenever you saw God's presence? How much did you get when you were at your lowest? How much did you get when you were broken? How much did you get when you were at that place where nothing else mattered, and you just knew the only thing that was going to satisfy, to give you life and life abundantly, was God. How much did you get? Because it's in those moments where God becomes real and personal, that all of a sudden you start a relationship that continues on forever. So that we can put our faith in a Son and a God who created this world and created you, so that He created a relationship, the two to be unbroken, to continue on every single day, to go deeper and deeper every single moment. It's not just to check in every once in a while, it's to stay and remain with His family, with Him, all the days of our life. In Jesus' name.